You know, after more than 2 decades of being at home with the collections of the Oklahoma Historical Society, there are certain things that stand out. And occasionally somebody will say, well, what's your favorite object? And I'm kind of like the proud parent. I don't get to have a favorite object. But honestly, there is one collection that comes pretty close, partially because the collection came from a guy who used to live across the street from me. And I knew him when he was 80 years old, and Harry Hanna was his name. He'd been in the Navy, he'd been in Kerr-McGee and Trans World Oil Company. You know, it's when a person passes away that you begin to really find out the details. And that was the case with Harry. You know, I knew he'd been in the Navy, I knew he was a pilot. So Harry passes away. I go to the funeral, and then I go in, and the entire auditorium is navy blue. There is navy blue everywhere. Seal of the United States Navy was in the lid of Harry's casket. You don't see that sort of thing happen very often. That was Harry, though. Harry was multiple times decorated during World War II as a Navy pilot. He earned the Air Medal with 4 stars and the Distinguished Air Medal with 2 stars. And it was just completely fearless, absolutely heroic fighter pilot of the best sort that you might imagine in World War II. And one of the episodes that he was involved in involved this Maywest Jacket. It was towards the end of World War II, spring of 1945, and they were flying fighter escorts of bombing runs into mainland Japan. And as they got close to the coast one morning, Harry's wing leader, a guy named Bob Coates, gets shot down. His plane, his Hellcat plane, is in flames. He ditches the plane into the water, and Harry hangs back in his own Hellcat, waiting to see Bob surface. Bob surfaces. Harry by then has held his plane back to just above stall speed, which is a nice trick. Pulls back the canopy of his plane, pulls this Maywest vest off. It's a flotation device, by the way. He pulls it off while flying the airplane, and just as he goes over where Bob is, tips the plane, throws it out the window, and there Bob suddenly has an additional flotation device. And Harry goes back up. He's calling for a rescue plane. He's also fighting off gunboats that are trying to go get Bob as a wounded or as a downed pilot. And the rescue plane comes. He makes a couple of loops in and then radios and said, I can't get in there. Basically, it was hot. It was close to the shore. And Harry talked with the pilot, and he said, pilot says, well, I can't get in there. I'm going back to the Vincennes. Harry said, I wouldn't do that if I were you, because then they'll have to pick up 3 of us. And the guy said, what do you mean? He said, because if you don't get him, I will shoot you down, and I'm running low on fuel, so they'll have to pick up 3 of us out of the water. Guy said, well, I'll try again. And he sort of taxis this plane in, the seaplane in with a tailing rope behind. Bob was able to grab hold of the rope as it went by in the water, and they sort of scooted, water skied him more or less out of rifle range and were able to get him in. Everybody goes back to their ships, and in the afternoon late, the Vincennes sends Bob back over to the USS Hornet. There is Harry standing there with a group of ship stewards holding trays of coffee, baked potatoes, steak, and pie, and there's one guy standing there with a tray that has warm blankets on it. This was not normal procedure. This is what Harry had gone back and done for his wing leader. And the only reason I know this story is because Bob was at the funeral and told me everything I've just related to you. And his comment was, how can you not love a person like that? And that was the closeness of the Jolly Roger squadron that flew on the USS Hornet, a squadron that had ultimately, by the end of World War II, more aces than any other Navy squadron in the United States. And so after Harry's passing, the family passed this on to us with Harry's call sign, which was Chief Hanna, as opposed to Bob Coates, whose call sign was Dynamo. So they each had their own unique thing. And you would think, okay, a bunch of Navy pilots, they're all going to look the same, you know, dressed in Navy outfit. Well, here's the classic of Harry Hanna as a young jock fighter pilot. He's got on this Maywest jacket, but unlike U.S. government issue, he's not wearing a web belt and a 1911 45. He's wearing an Old West style Texas hog leg 45 caliber Colt and ammo belt, all hand tooled. And it's not in this photo, but he's also wearing cowboy boots, which is not exactly Navy issue garb, but that was the way Harry was. Harry himself was a quiet, unassuming guy. You wouldn't know all this stuff. And Harry is kind of like my version of a poster child for Oklahoma. Every street that we live on has people that live down the street who have done great things for their country, great things for their families, has made Oklahoma a stronger place. And how are you going to find out about that? Well, the Oklahoma History Center is a place to find out about those neighbors down the street. And that's why we're here, is to save those objects and preserve those stories.